What's good, crypto fam? It's your boy, and right now we about to keep it 100. We about to do something different. If you're not currently aware of what's really going on in this world economically, you should probably start paying attention. And I know you may not care about that kind of stuff, but this is something that's going to affect everybody. This is going to be a different video from what I normally do, but this is to inform all of y'all. So definitely check it out to the end. I'm going to drop a sneak peek of a new track based off of everything that's going on in this video. So where we gonna start this off is I want to explain to you guys about the World Economic Forum and the Great Reset. So some people have heard of it, some people haven't heard of it. For people who have heard of it, it's disguised by global efforts, environmental issues, and mostly climate change. But check out this video, we gonna get into it. I'm gonna break it down to you. I'm gonna bring in the crypto side of it. I'm gonna bring it back and we gonna get it right. So without further ado, this is The Great Escape.
People assume we are just going back to the good old world which we had, and everything will be normal again in how we are used to normal, in the old fashion. This is, let's say, fiction. It will not happen.
At the latest World Economic Forum meeting in Davos, Schwab set the tone for the conference with his glowing introduction of the opening speaker.
We now welcome His Excellency Xi Jinping, President of the People's Republic of China.
Xi laid out his vision of a coordinated global economy.
Major economies should see the world as one community and coordinate the objectives, intensity, and pace of fiscal and monetary policies.
This ideal of a united globe with a coordinated economy managed by experts captures Schwab's vision of the post-COVID world.
We have to redefine our social contract.
These grand proclamations, the ominous book title, and Schwab's odd personal style have led many people to speculate that the Great Reset is part of a conspiracy of global financial elites and politicians to depopulate the planet so they can more easily institute one world government. The World Economic Forum and many state leaders believe global coordination and global governance is essential to manage global problems, climate change, international financial instability, and future pandemics. A crucial flaw in Schwab's Great Reset is that it puts too much faith in the ability of governments to re-engineer society in a way that better serves the needs and desires of all citizens. He wants a rethinking of capitalism that escapes the tyranny of GDP growth, so that companies create goods and services for the common good instead of maximizing profits. Instead of the Great Reset, in which sclerotic 20th century institutions accumulate even more power, I think we're entering the Great Escape. This is possible because technological progress is outpacing the ability of the state to control and regulate it. Governments will have no choice but to abandon their efforts to construct physical and metaphorical walls. Technology can be designed to facilitate decentralization, in which the flow of money and information can't be controlled. Ideas emerge from the bottom up. Expecting governments and international bodies to orient every large company towards some widely agreed upon common good assumes that many of the very institutions that bungled the COVID-19 response can competently handle the planet's most intractable problems. My hope is that after witnessing the colossal failure of governments in the face of a global crisis, many more people will be looking for a different approach. There's evidence everywhere of the Great Escape. The U.S. population shift away from expensive, restrictive, and poorly governed states and cities, spurred on by the rise of remote work, the exodus from government-run schools, the growing use of cryptocurrency, the popularity of encrypted private communication platforms, and the expanding reach of independent voices in our increasingly decentralized media. Hayek called central planning the fatal conceit, writing that the curious task of economics is to demonstrate to men how little they really know about what they imagine they can design. And Schwab even touches on this idea, writing that complexity creates limits to our knowledge and understanding of things. It might thus be that today's increasing complexity literally overwhelms the capabilities of politicians in particular and decision makers in general to make well-informed decisions. Concentrated power itself presents an existential risk. A bad intervention applied to economies of the entire world at once can bring down the entire system. but the distributed power and humble trial and error of markets and decentralized governance brings progress in fits and starts with less risk of total ruin. What Schwab, Xi, and central planners around the world miss is that when securing the rights of the individual comes first, the rest tends to follow. The great escape from the 20th century is underway, and there might be nothing they can do to stop it. The question is, do they make getting there easy, or does it happen the hard way?
So now that you know and have an idea about the World Economic Forum and their idea on the Great Reset, utilizing the pandemic to take advantage of the situation to create a one world currency, a one world agenda, aka the Great Reset, which I'm dubbing as the Great Escape. Their plans are not going the way they thought they were, and we're going to break it down and show you what's really going on. So let's get into it.
Let's get into the economic collapse financial news. Now, the deep state, the corrupt politicians, the private Western Central Bank, they are heading down the economic path the patriots want them to head down. Remember, no matter what was going to happen, the World Economic Forum, the private Western Central Bank, they were going to proceed with their agenda. They were going to bring down the entire system. It was going to be a controlled demolition, which we're watching right now, but it was going to be done over a long period of time. So this way, either through the pandemic, the global economic shutdown, or war, this way, they would have destruction, chaos, they would have a cover story, and people wouldn't argue or push back in what they wanted to do. This was going to happen no matter which way we looked at it. Remember, the private Western Central Bank system has expanded over time, and its web is gigantic. Its tentacles are reaching everywhere. And Trump and the Patriots knew the only way to bring a system like this down was to destroy it. Now, if Trump, the Patriots, they came out and they started to destroy their system, the private Western Central Bank would fight back, and it would be an ugly battle. Instead, Trump, the Patriots, they said, you know something? Since we know their playbook, since we know what they're going to do here, why don't we just accelerate their plan, remove the cover story, pull back the curtain, let everyone see exactly what their plan is, and let's accelerate it so there's no misunderstanding of what they're trying to do here. People see the high fuel prices. People will see the inflation. People will see the economy falling apart. They will also see lie after lie after lie after lie, not just here in the United States, but around the world. Let the people see what they're going to do to farmers. Let the people see the true agenda of the World Economic Forum, the private Western Central Bank. That is what we're experiencing right now. The people have a front row seat. There's no confusion, chaos, noise, or whatever you want to call it. There's nothing like that. People can see this very, very clearly. And you can see the protests, they are now picking up in all different countries. And as we approach this winter and it gets colder and colder, and they tell you, hey, we're not going to have energy, you're going to have to cut back, you're going to see a lot more protests, especially when inflation starts to pick up and the economy starts to fall apart. Now, what happens when this happens? Well, people won't be able to take it anymore. They'll hit the precipice. And this is what the patriots actually want. They want the people to finally say enough is enough. We've been listening to the World Economic Forum. We've been listening to the Green New Deal. We've been listening to the criminal syndicate. We've been listening to the private Western Central Bank. And everything that you've been telling us has been turning out really, really bad. It's not benefiting us. It's making it harder for us to actually survive. And this is getting worse and worse as time goes on. The European gas prices, they have broken a new record. And people now are realizing and understand that this cannot continue on. And they realize that the World Economic Forum, the criminal syndicate, their leaders, the private Western Central Bank, they're the ones who are responsible for all this. And they also understand that their Green New Deal is not working. Look, they shut everything down. They said, oh, we're not going to use coal. We're not going to use gas. We're not going to use oil. We're only going to use green energy. No nuclear, nothing. And look what happened. They can't make it. The windmills, whatever solar panels they have up, it is not working. And the people now are pushing back. Now, what did they do? Well, hey, let's change the definition like we change everything else. Now we're going to include nuclear energy, and that's green energy, everyone. And we might even include coal. Yeah, coal might be green energy too. Why are they doing this? Because they're trapped in their own agenda. They never expected all of this to happen so quickly. They just went along with it, and they thought, wow, we really got it, that we got the pandemic. We're going to keep everyone locked down. This is going to be incredible. And then all of a sudden, everyone wasn't locked down. Everyone wasn't sitting in their home receiving a paycheck from the central bank. Everyone was back out and working. And now we see that these individuals who are pushing their agenda, they are trapped in their agenda. Look what's happening out in Germany. Germany could restart 3 more nuclear power plants, in addition to the 3 that are still in operation, within a few months or weeks. Why would they do this? Why don't they just set up more windmills? Why don't they set up more solar panels? Why? Because people would see the truth. People would say, well, wait a minute, it's not sunny today. How come we have no power? I can't charge my car. You told me to get an electric car. Now I can't charge it. You're telling me that I can't use my AC. I can't charge my car. And this is exactly what's happening out in Texas. It's actually happening out in Germany. They're realizing who's responsible for the economy coming down. Remember, this is a controlled demolition, just like you're bringing down the building. And if it's controlled, you can shift things the way you want them to go. And I do believe Trump and the Patriots, that's exactly what they're going to do. And we can see now that businesses, they're starting to feel the heat. Even though the Biden administration, Janet Yellen and the fake news and the rest, they're all telling us that, no, this is not really a recession. Actually, they're redefining recession just like everything else.
We're seeing, what we're seeing is that we are in a transition. We had this strong economic growth because of the work that this president has done in the past 18 months. And now what we're seeing is a transition into stable and steady growth.
We've entered a new phase in our recovery, focused on achieving steady, stable growth without sacrificing the gains.
As Secretary Yellen said on Sunday, 2 negative quarters of GDP growth is not the technical definition of recession. It's not the definition that economists have traditionally relied on. There is an organization called the National Bureau of Economic Research, and what they do is they look at a broad range of data in deciding whether or not a recession has occurred.
They're trying to convince us that we don't know what we're talking about. They know what they're talking about, and we're just imagining things. But you see, with the economy, it's going to be very, very difficult, because when you see companies like Weber laying off, Shopify, who lost $1.2 billion and they're going to be laying off 1,000 people, you can pretend there's no recession. You can pretend that people aren't getting laid off. But when you're the one that is laid off, and you know a friend that is laid off, and you see more and more people being laid off, and you see companies shutting down, people understand and they realize, hey, we're in a recession. Plus, there's really high inflation and fuel prices are off the charts. Now, the Federal Reserve, they came out today and they said, you know something, we're going to be raising the interest rates by 75 basis points. Now, we know this is not going to stop inflation whatsoever. Actually, what it's going to do is going to bring down the economic system. Remember, they've been hiding inflation since 1971. They changed the calculation. They changed the calculation for unemployment, and they've been hiding it ever since. Now people can see the truth. And raising the rates is not going to do what it did back in the 70s. Remember, we were coming off the gold standard back then. We were attached, pegged to sound money. And once we came off sound money, the value of the currency dropped, and they adjusted it with high interest rates because it lost value very, very quickly. Wages had to go up very, very quickly, and everything else went up. So people at that time, they thought, this is incredible. I bought a house for $25,000, and I bought it when I was making $5,000 a year. Now I'm making $20,000, and my mortgage is absolutely nothing because I had a fixed rate. When we approached the 80s, people started to take more credit. We had 2 people working in a job, and in the 90s, people went into debt, and then it got worse and worse, and the jobs, they weren't paying that much. And now here we are, where everything else is going up. Actually, the value of the currency is going down, and wages are going in the opposite direction. At the end of this system, it is completely the opposite of what people felt in the beginning of this system. And what's very interesting about all this, and a Business Insider put this out, just listen to this headline. And this explains everything you need to know. We've discussed this many, many times before. It says the Federal Reserve just moved to make your credit cards, mortgages, and car loans more expensive in hopes you'll spend less and help cool inflation. Now, listen to what they said here. Did they talk about any type of cash, actual money, or did they just talk about credit? That's all they talked about. If you notice, their system is based in debt. So they're making everything more expensive so you don't spend. But people have to spend. How do you live? You still have to pay your mortgage. You still have to buy food. You still have to buy gas. You still have a car payment. Most people are leasing today. So what does that mean? A lot of people are going to go out and lease another car. Or if when the lease comes up, they either have to buy it, refinance it, or lease another. So is this going to help? No. And today, with credit cards, most of the population, they have no savings. They've been using their savings. Yes, they might have saved up a little bit during the pandemic, but now it's depleted. So they're going back to credit cards, and the only way they can function is to put everything on their credit cards. So is this really going to help? No. Actually, the Fed raising the rates, and we've seen this time and time again, the Fed raising the rates is going to bring down the system. And I do believe Trump and the Patriots, they knew this entire playbook. Trump told us inflation is going to destroy the economy. And what does that mean? Well, if inflation is continually moving up, which means the devaluation of the currency, Trump and the Patriots knew that the Federal Reserve, to fight inflation, they would have to do what? Raise the rates. If they were going to raise the rates, they knew that this would bring down the system, would bring us into a recession. They're responsible for this. Why do you think they're getting ahead of the story right now? They knew from the very beginning that this was going to happen. They didn't expect it to happen so quickly, though. They knew eventually they were going to bring down the system, try to transition everyone into the Great Reset, the Green New Deal. They never expected all of this to happen so quickly. This is why in the beginning, they were talking about transitory, it was going to disappear. They didn't realize that everything has been accelerated and they don't have the 10 years. And now they are trapped in their own agenda, which means the spotlight is turned on them and there's no escape from this. They're going to own this. The people are going to be angry at these individuals who've been lying to them since the very beginning. How do you destroy the private Western Central Bank system? How do you show the people who's responsible for this? How do you show the people that, hey, we're going to point in other directions because it's not our fault? Trump and the Patriots wanted everyone to see how these people don't take accountability, how they're liars, how they're the ones that caused this, how their Green New Deal system is not going to work. That's what people are going to see. And when people see this and we get a new Congress in, and the Congress says, okay, we're in this crisis. This is ridiculous. We're in this bad recession. It's worse than 2008, 2009. We need to find out why this happened. And by the way, there's no bailouts this time. So let's find out what happened here. And yes, they're going to probe the Federal Reserve. Yes, they're going to probe exactly what happened. And I do believe they're going to find out quite a bit. And the American people are going to find out quite a bit. And I do believe this is going to give the people ammunition to decide in which direction we go with our system. And I'm talking about our monetary system. And I do believe this time is approaching very, very quickly.
Mohammed, try to put together what we're just seeing now in immediate terms with what we heard from Jay Powell yesterday and what you think he now may or may not do as we look forward to the fall.
Thank you, Andrew. So in terms of what we're seeing in the data, whether it is the GDP number, whether it is the jobless claims number, this is an economy that's weakening at a much faster rate than most people expected. That's the bottom line. Whether we're in recession or not is not as interesting as the fact that we are weakening really fast.
So they're obviously trying to cover up their Green New Deal agenda, the stopping of creating our own gas, our own oil, the stimulus that they gave out during the pandemic, the quantitative easing that's been happening for years that the Federal Reserve has been doing, has made our money and inflation to become what it is now. And right now, we're in a recession. We got midterms coming up. Everything is real political, and the Democrats are scrambling. They know the numbers aren't looking good. There's a CNN poll that came out that says 75% of Democrats are already looking for another president by 2024. So people is already losing hope in Biden, and he's only halfway through his term. Not only that, but the Ukraine and Russia war has also made a big effect on this situation. So long story short, we put sanctions on Russia, which doesn't allow them to use the SWIFT system, which is the cross-border payment system. The point of doing this was to give an economic blow to the Russian economy. But not only has this not worked, but it has done the opposite and has affected the United States more than it has affected them. For instance, we used to buy oil from Russia. So the oil we're not buying from them and the oil that we're not producing ourselves is leaving us with less oil. And now Biden is taking out oil from our strategic reserves, which is supposed to be used for emergencies. And because of this, it's causing gas prices to get higher, energy prices to get higher. We have supply shocks because of the sanctions. So it's basically affecting everything globally, and things are just getting worse. As for Russia, they've been accumulating golds for over 20 years now. Back in the day, money was backed by our gold reserves. So this brings us to where we're currently at. So here's a video showing Russia and China coming together to create their own reserve currency.
Putin and China just did the unthinkable, and the West is in big trouble. The alliance between Russia and China is awesome. I mean awesome in a dramatic shift of the entire world economic order kind of way. What happened this week is absolutely groundbreaking. It was probably the biggest story of the last 30 years, but it hardly got any news coverage at all. Seriously, one of the most important stories of our lifetime happened this week, and almost no one covered it. Russia joined forces with China to create their own new reserve currency. Officially, yes, it's happening, guys. This means that the new reserve currency won't be the US dollar. This new currency will be based on rare earth minerals, guys. I've been saying this for a while, and that's why I'm personally investing in them, okay? Russia and China are moving their currency to gold, silver, uranium, nickel, copper, real, tangible things, guys. This means that Russia and China are tying their country's fortunes to minerals that they bring out of the ground and then sell to the rest of the world. Just look at how Russia started stockpiling gold over the last 20 years, while the United States went further and further into debt and printing money. Just look at this chart. This is gold. Astonishing. And this was all happening right out there in the open. Here was a headline 2 years before the war with Ukraine broke out. China and Russia ditched dollar and moved toward financial alliance. Yeah, and everyone else was ignoring it. We've had some recent dollar strengthening a little bit, but that's peanuts compared to what's actually happening, because these BRICS nations have been in the midst of a 20-year plan to de-dollarize. De-dollarize. Even before the Ukraine conflict started, both China and Russia were stockpiling gold and working on denominating transactions outside of the United States dollar. It was another secret that was all right there out in the open for anyone to pay attention to. This is a massive challenge to the US dollar, which isn't based on gold or anything. It's actually based on debt. Yes, the US dollar is a debt-based currency, and the United States is $30 trillion in debt. China and Russia are sitting on mountains of minerals that the United States and Europe are clamoring for. Frankly, they're begging for them.
Getting out of the dollar reserve currency is not only detrimental to the United States, but this could change the landscape of where money is going and where this economy and this global economy is going towards. So these BRICS nations, which is Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, and a couple others, have joined together to create currencies or utilize their own currencies that are backed by gold, silver, precious metals, minerals, anything of value. Those countries' populations combined is a large amount of the population globally. Them coming together not only puts the dollar at risk, but it puts the people who are holding dollars at risk. So not only are we printing money, losing value because of it, but different situations that we're currently in, like sending money to Ukraine, raising interest rates, trying to pass his Green New Deal, and basically we're at a crossroads. And this is why I think the plans of the Great Reset is now the Great Escape. This is an escape from what they were trying to do, moving to decentralized. What they wanted was centralized, controlled by them, and everybody falls in line. Now, I still believe we're moving towards a globalized money system, but the dollar will no longer be the reserve currency. And I think crypto will be the new monetary system that's put in place.
You mentioned the gold standard. I think you're quite well known for your stance on the gold standard. Would returning to a gold standard help the U.S. economy? Can you talk a little about your thoughts on that?
Well, I would say I don't see it so much as returning, but more of a back to the future.
Okay.
I think that what a gold standard stands for is monetary discipline for its own sake. That is, if money is supposed to be a unit of account, and a reliable measure and a dependable store of value, it really shouldn't be subject to who's the chairman of the Federal Reserve. And I think that money needs to be stable and provide the foundation for productive economic growth. And when money is just a variable that financial markets toss around, or it's part of a derivatives formula, or it's part of someone speculating on currencies, it's not serving the private sector in the sense of providing that reliable unit of account so you can make plans. And under a gold standard, you did have that stability, and I think that's what's missing. And so I like the idea of a gold standard. I mean, it could be used in a very cryptocurrency way. The point is, do you have a unified money system so that when you talk about the international marketplace, everyone is playing on a level monetary playing field?
When you look at a note, you see a figure from our nation's history staring back at you. They're like these tiny history lessons in our pocket. But for over a century, no U.S. note has featured a woman. My name is Rosie Rios, former Treasurer of the United States. In 2015, I worked with the Department of the Treasury to create a list of hundreds of historic women whom the American people recommended to appear on U.S. currency.
Cryptocurrency as a form of currency.
Well, I think the train's already left the station in terms of cryptocurrency. You may or may not know that I just joined the board of Ripple, and the reason why I chose to join that board, it's, in my opinion, one of the few cryptocurrency options out there that has a credible and legitimate use. So financial institutions use it to settle cross-border payments.
Just a little bit about what I do. So I oversee the Bureau of Engraving and Printing, where we produce our currency. I also oversee the U.S. Mint, where we produce our coins. That also includes custodial responsibility for our gold reserves. So Fort Knox is under me as well. All bullion production, all precious metal, platinum, silver, gold is under me as well. And I'm also a senior advisor to the Secretary on issues of community development. And for those of you who don't know, the next gen $100 note is the last denomination of that particular family of notes. We're working on the future generation of currency. So that is my other job.
Today I'm going to talk about one of my favorite topics, the future of investments, the future of money, and specifically cryptocurrencies. I'm going to start with a little bit of my background. I am a trained analyst. After graduating from Harvard, my first job was a commercial property underwriter for General Reinsurance. So I am trained in managing high-valued risk. Prior to becoming Treasurer of the United States, I was Managing Director of Investments for a $22 billion firm based in San Francisco. And I was asked by President Obama to be part of the Treasury transition team at the height of the financial crisis. As you heard, I was the longest Senate-confirmed official in the Obama administration. And yes, it is my name on the lower left-hand side of U.S. money. So out of the approximately $2 trillion of U.S. currency in circulation worldwide, my name is approximately on 1.8 trillion. So I can honestly say that no one has made more money than I have. And I want to start by saying I am also on the board of Ripple, which is XRP, cryptocurrency. But I want to make something very, very clear. Blockchain is here to stay. The train has left the station. You're going to hear me quoted about that all the time. As far as I'm concerned, whether it's fractional real estate, whether it's art, whether it's NFTs, blockchain is not going away. So the question is, how do we take advantage of this?
So we have government officials leaving government jobs, moving towards fintech, blockchain, and crypto companies because they know this is where we're moving to. And as Judy Sheldon says, she sees a gold-backed currency in a digital currency type way. And she said this a long time ago. This is not a new video. So the plan is already in works and has been a plan the whole time. And now we're starting to see that this is picking up pace. So we got BRICS nations moving back to gold-backed currencies. Well, China already has a digital currency. The greatest opportunity for the average person to benefit off this new system is to identify these new projects in crypto that are going to be a part of this new system and to set yourself up so where you benefit off this transition of wealth that's about to happen. Crypto is half off from where it was at its high. So I don't want to hear anybody say, oh, I'm waiting, I don't know, I'm still not sure. Don't be scared. Right now is the time to get in more than ever. Now, it can still go down further because, as you can see, everything in this world is volatile right now. We just got named in a recession. The stock market's coming down. Housing market's about to collapse. Interest rates are at levels we haven't seen, and this is not sustainable. So look towards more volatility, which could be bad or good, and just know that it was a part of the plan the whole time. And in order to create a new system, you got to get rid of the old system. And that's the only way people are going to accept what's really about to happen. So I need everybody to pay attention and do your own research and really get involved in your future of taking care of your family. There's not going to be another opportunity like this in your lifetime. Things are just going to continue to get worse. I hate to say it, but the system is not created for people to benefit off of. We pay a bunch in taxes and wages never go up. So you already know the idea. Set yourself up so you have a better situation when all this goes down. And best believe it's going to happen.
Day by day, Ripple is extending its boundaries on the overall globe. This would be the best example for the acceptance of RippleNet to improve cross-border payments. Two countries, Malaysia and Thailand, have come up with the idea of just scanning a QR code, and the payment is done in just a blink of an eye with efficiency, affordability, and environmentally friendly. This is really amazing and would be functional post-pandemic when the tourism sector would begin in full swing. With just a mobile application, you would be able to make the payments. However, they did not mention any specific technology they are using, but this is only possible through a network and protocol like RippleNet, as until the date, no platforms are providing efficient payment systems that are provided by Ripple XRP. Before anything huge happens for Ripple XRP, there are rumors that we are going to face a massive down crash that has never happened before. The real Kiyosaki, a famous crypto fan who is accurate and trustworthy in his analysis, tweets, if he is sure about the event, so relying on his tweet is totally advisable. He says that the biggest bubble in history is getting bigger, and a hilarious crypto crash is soon expected. He says he is willing to buy more gold and silver as Bitcoin is going to drop 24K in the market crash, but he adds that these are the best times to enter the market. Market crash would be a hint for the investors that XRP is going to surge up, so buying this dip is highly advisable, as after the crash, XRP would skyrocket. Bitcoin is the first peer-to-peer network, and it is sure that it is going to rise high and high. It will suffer dips in the crashes, but not eradicate from the crypto market. So this could be the best time to invest in the king of the crypto market and XRP, as both would follow a bull run after the crash. Billionaire oil tycoon Charles Ward confirmed that the digital asset XRP will indeed be backed by gold, which itself will be backed by XRP. The billionaire confirmed this in a video on YouTube. They've done very well to keep this under wraps, said Ward in the video. This will be part of the quantum financial system that just finished testing. I can't tell you everything, but I can tell you this. All the XRP will definitely be backed 1-to-1 with gold, and each ounce of gold will be backed 2-to-1 with XRP. The revelation of this billionaire hasn't had much impact on the price of XRP yet, but since it is very recent news, the spike may come. Furthermore, when this backing is getting widely acknowledged, it may have a great impact on the future of XRP and Ripple. All the recent news we looked upon reveals a potential further market crash before the enormous Ripple XRP's bull run. These are just clues that might help investors to not fear the market crash, as there is a sunny day just after the dark nights, and if you fear those dark nights, you might not enjoy those sunny days on the beach. These dips that are expected could be a golden opportunity for investors to invest in the super potential Ripple XRP, as these rates would never show back for the token. But it's always better to rely on your personal analysis, as you might have varied opinions for the crypto market, and that could save you from bearing any loss.
XRP will be the world reserve currency. You heard it here from me. And I'm not the only one that said it, but that's what's going to happen. Why you think the SEC has been trying so hard to sue them when they have nothing? And they're getting killed right now. This is their last power grab. And when everything is said and done and the smoke settles, anyone who's holding a bag of XRP, in my honest opinion, will be the new 1% of the 1%. And that's basically what it is. Not only them, but other cryptos. I'm not even just going to say that one. But that's where I'm going to leave it. Do your own research. Follow your heart. Believe in yourself. Don't let the control of others' narrative depict on what you do next. I appreciate y'all. Hit the like and subscribe. Leave me a comment below and let me know what you think about this video. And since y'all been here this long, hearing me rant, I'm going to give y'all a little sneak peek of this track. I'm going to just leak it. It ain't my track, but I'm going to play my part because it fits the narrative. But I'm going to catch y'all on the next one. I'm out.
I'll never be broken, I live by that code. After the shakeout, you know we gon' blow. Open your eyes, hope you enjoy the show. I can see through the lies, I ain't sleeping no more, did you know? 1% or wealth getting bigger, the bigger picture. And if you go against the agenda, then you getting censored. And if you sheeping and sleeping and I don't deal with you, global reset coming, most people don't even know it. Tells, let's get it. They trying to act civil, but they bags a little. Trying to send that crypto, don't forget the memo. Moving money quicker, XRP the ticker. California city slicker, gotta paint the picture. Look, we know what's up, the system is so corrupt. We stuck, but I'ma stunt when these bags start blowing up. Crypto making bread, cause the dollar's dead. Ask the Fed, don't get misled on them Twitter threads. Better days is on the way, a slight delay, we gon' be straight. It's worth the wait. They trying to confiscate your bag, so don't hesitate.